It's the moment you didn't know you're waiting for.
He is Carter.
He's Chad.
And this is the
Irish 365 podcast.
Chad, this is Lou Holtz. That's head coach of Notre Dame for 11 years. Greatest experience of my life. They're starting a Notre Dame podcast this summer. I have a podcast as well, but it's not about Notre Dame football, although I wish there were. But congratulations on your success. And it would be nice if I could be on your podcast, but my schedule is so hectic. But anything that has to do with Notre Dame, I'm all for it. God bless you. Go Irish.
Welcome into the Irish 365 podcast, episode 21, Navy postgame.
Woo! Post-game Navy.
Round of applause, golf clap.
Yep.
Give it all up for the Irish after this major top 25 win in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Big one.
Yep.
Big one. Let's talk about our day, though.
Yep.
And we can't talk about our day without having
Special guest,
our crew.
our crew.
Our crew.
Yes, love to be here.
All right. Oh, he's not going to do it.
He's not going to do it.
All right. Tried to be a little Jeremiah Love special.
He wants,
There it is.
wants some Jeremiah.
Oh, yeah. Jeremiah Love scores
All
a
we
touchdown.
need is love.
And we got a little love.
Got two.
Got two.
Got two. First time he scored 2 touchdowns this year.
Yep.
So, Christy, you just don't seem to be in the mood the rest of us are.
Yeah.
Did you not enjoy yesterday's act? Oh,
Do the heart.
I think she's still recovering. She's
still in recovery mode from the travel yesterday.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it was
Yeah.
a business trip, and it was a
Long business trip.
long business trip. It was an enjoyable business
20,
trip.
what, 22 hours away from the house?
Yep.
21 hours away from the house?
Yes.
Yep.
21 hours.
We
4 a
we had to leave home base at what time, Christy?
4 a.m.
Just a nice little 2-hour drive to the Indianapolis airport.
Yep.
Uneventful drive,
True.
which is always a good way to start.
Yep.
True.
We no problem finding parking, getting into the terminal. We didn't have any bags to check.
Nope.
We'd pre-checked in on the flight the day before. Literally go to security. Security lines were short.
No.
terrible.
Definitely not.
Not the 3 minute.
Not the 3-minute wait they promised.
Yeah.
But they were fairly short. Now, there
Future
was
Farmers of America.
there was,
Yeah,
the
the
FFA.
FAR.
The FFA kids were all heading home. And, you'd expect the future farmer kids to get up early.
Yeah.
Yep.
No problem for them. They're going to feed us in the future. We're okay with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, got on our flight.
True.
Just a quick 2-hour ride.
Yeah, I'd say 2 hours there, hour 40 back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just under 2. I think they count like taxing time, but they count when you land. And we got a little delay getting in because there was the we got in early actually.
Yeah.
And then there was the waiting for the gate to open up. So we sat on the plane a little longer, but cool views coming in when you come to Newark. Now LaGuardia, I think, has better views
Mm-hmm.
coming in, but cool views coming into Newark. You can see Statue of Liberty and, New York City skyline off in the distance.
Yep.
And we had an Uber reserved. So highly recommend if you're going to go to a big city and you're flying in, do the ride share and reserve your ride in advance.
Yeah, that was a good call.
Just
Yeah.
do yourself a favor. Make that happen. And so, yeah, we had the ride share, and I had a little surprise for everybody.
Carlos.
We went to Carlo's Bakery.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
yeah.
That's good.
So I didn't drop that. I think Carter might have known the day in advance.
I
but
did.
I didn't drop it on everybody else. That was the plan. So when we reserved the
Shout out
Right.
to Buddy.
I in fact reserved a stop to go by Carlo's Bakery. I heard a lot of people say it's overhyped, but you'll stand in line for 20, 30 minutes to get in. And we got there 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I was at
There was no line.
There wasn't a line.
Not at all.
I looked at the app later on Google Maps, and it didn't start getting busy till 10:30, 11 o'clock. Now, when we came out, there were some people like walking up, and like there was definitely the touristy part of the day getting ready to start for those guys.
Yeah.
But it was nice. So we tried to be really smart and just make it a quick stop. So I ordered, had everybody order something online in advance, which seemed like a pro move and like not knowing any better. But then I found out there's a whole lot more options in the store than what you can order online. I was a little disappointed, but since there was no line when we got there, I was able to make up for it and get a little extra, little cheesecake. can't turn out a piece of
Yeah.
cheesecake with a strawberry on top.
I was gonna say we planned out almost too well, right, for that one, because
yeah, over planned
Oh,
that
yeah.
one.
But I mean, it's better than that. Then we get there, and then there's an hour and a half line, and
Yeah. And it's not a place I'd say, oh, you have to visit when you go to New Jersey.
no,
If you're in New York, I wouldn't take the hour and a half it probably takes to get across the bridge and go see it.
Yeah.
But for us from Newark to MetLife, it was
we had time to kill.
10
We-
minutes out of the
we watched
way.
the show
Yep.
when it was big. I mean, it's definitely a cool thing for us to do.
Yeah, it was a neat stop on the way. It worth the every bit of 10 minutes we spent there
Oh yeah,
and the 10-15 minutes of out of our way to get there.
Yeah.
But I don't think it deserves a whole lot more than that.
no.
And I'm not against cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like a good cake.
I had a cookie pretty solid.
Yeah.
What-
If you're a pumpkin pie fan, it was good.
Cayden went with the old
I
slice
was a
of
fan.
pumpkin pie.
It didn't even have whipped cream on it, too.
Yeah, just
It
a
was still really good.
seasonally available pumpkin pie. I had a little tart of, I don't call it tart, a little cupcake size cheesecake,
Oh, yeah, that thing was really
and
good.
that was solid. Cayden and I split that. I also had a red velvet cake slice that'll come back up later in this conversation, I'm sure.
Yup.
So the idea was we were going to eat it at like 9:30 in the morning because that's breakfast. So we got it. We were going over to the American Dream Mall,
Yeah.
to
Which
kill
was
some
great.
time before the
Well, a place, by the way.
yeah. And I talked to a coworker who had suggested like, oh, there's a good pizza place in New York. There's one in this mall. You should stop by there. He didn't say a whole lot about the mall. I didn't know a whole lot about the mall other than it was just by MetLife Stadium.
There's a bridge to get to MetLife.
There's a bridge that crosses the interstate to get
Yeah.
to MetLife. Seemed like a good idea. We'll go there and kill a couple hours. Unfortunately, it was early. Nothing's open.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
how about this mall?
Yeah.
Always
Wow.
something.
Yeah. You could vacation at this mall
No kidding.
Easily.
if you wanted to.
Second biggest mall in the U.S. behind Mall of America, right?
Yes.
Yep. I'm
Yeah. A mere 3 million square foot under roof,
Yeah.
which I was surprised. We talked about Mall of America, and like I looked it up and it was like 5 million under square foot. And I'm like,
yeah.
it just felt like this mall was as big.
Mhm.
So it kind of surprised
No,
me.
we didn't even see a fraction of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We saw the video. We went and walked the video. We were sitting there like, holy cow.
Yeah. It was a Korean cooking show in the middle of the floor.
Yes,
That was
yeah,
pretty,
there was-
that was pretty cool.
Which was still going on. It started at
yeah.
11 a.m. and it's still going on after the game.
But,
Yes.
but you have to think about the time change. I don't know if they were showing that live in Korea,
Maybe.
but
Yeah, true.
noon our time would have been like
Prime
10
time.
p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that thing was starting probably prime time in South Korea and running strong.
Yeah. And then there was a ski lift. Like a full-on ski hill
Not just a lift.
inside of the mall.
Yeah.
Ride the ski lift, got a whole, probably 70-foot hill?
Oh, yeah. It
Yeah.
was 70 foot high.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
But
And
I don't know, 300 foot long.
Yeah.
on top of all that, an amusement park,
Yep.
the largest indoor water park. Oh, and did I forget to mention the beach?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
did.
Wave pool beach.
Yeah, you can surf inside of this.
You can literally go from the beach to the snow
Yeah, you
in a
can.
mere steps.
You can
Yeah.
surf
And never
then
go
go
outside.
snowboard.
Never go outside.
I wish we had a little more time to like hang out in the mall.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
check it out.
Yeah.
We could have got a couple 100,000 steps in that mall like we're
No
at Disney.
kidding.
Easily.
But yeah, I mean, we just kind of were in a food court area.
I can't believe that Cayden didn't mention the Lego store.
That
They
was
had a Lego
very cool Lego store.
Discovery Center,
Center, yeah, and there's an aquarium,
Aquarium.
in there. We
There-
did
arcade.
oh, I
a
forgot
Sea
about
Life
that.
aquarium
an
as well.
arcade.
Yeah,
Oh,
Cayden.
huge arcade, yeah.
yeah, and it's 3 or 4 stories tall. So
Yeah.
if you're in the Northeast and you're looking for something to do for the day,
Go.
Yeah.
put the American Dream Mall on your list of things to consider.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. You could spend a family weekend there.
I
easy.
think we should vacation there.
I'd definitely go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, then we got to the game. I thought that was an easy walk over the game, and we came out right by the gate we wanted to go in.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger crowd than I expected, I guess. We got to the game a little later, but it was a bigger crowd than I expected. As late as we got over there, and we weren't like a ton late, but we were in our seats, but not before the flyover.
Yeah.
Right.
We're on our way up.
But when we were in our seats, the game hadn't started yet.
Mm.
But when the game started, we could still see people coming in from like outside. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was a It was packed.
Which we did see the flyover. We just probably didn't see it in its full effect. Like
Yeah,
we saw
'cause we
from the
weren't-
escalator on the way
Yeah,
up. Like
there
we
were-
had a view of it going over, but yeah,
Yeah, we didn't see it from our seats. but-
Couple of F-18s, I think it was.
4 of them.
Yeah. Well,
Or-
had we not stopped to pay homage to the national anthem on like that second level,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we stopped, hand over the heart, give it that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If we had just kept going up to the third level, we probably could have beat
Yeah.
the flyover. But I'd rather show my American pride and respect than see the
Okay.
flyover if I have to pick.
Yeah.
Although I do like a good flyover.
Yeah.
And you knew the Navy pilots were going to be bringing.
Yeah.
I don't think they were down inside the bowl like the C-135 was,
No.
but it was a good
Mm-hmm.
flyover. I expected it to be a dump. That was my expectation.
I guess our bar was so low from all the negative things we've heard about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is very true.
You guys had me a little worried. What am we walking into? But
but it was very industrial. Nothing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything compared to the aesthetic of Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Mm-mm.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium was a very nice stadium, very modern looking. Nice amenities. This was more industrial, a little more, I don't know, blue collar and feel.
Mhm. Definitely agree.
Which probably fits the New Jersey, New York mentality pretty well.
Yeah.
And so it was a nice stadium. Nothing fancy, but nice
Yeah.
stadium.
The biggest difference I noticed was like you see the modern day concession stands and stuff
Yeah,
with
yeah.
efficiency, and I stood in line. I mean, there was like 9 people in front of me, and I probably was in line for 20 minutes. Like I was like, what the heck is going on? Like this is not the modern day like Mercedes Benz. You order here, pick up there. Like they're
Yeah.
not flying out with stuff. Like
Did they
that
have,
was
Yeah.
did they have one of the? They didn't have one of the like pantry type pickups there, did
no.
they? No,
at least not in the upper.
not that we saw.
Yeah.
I don't think they had any. But yeah, I mean, it was just old school, slow. I think, and it was kind of what you expect for New York concessions. I mean, there were some hot
Yeah.
dogs, some nachos. It was your
Yeah.
typical fare. I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get anything. We ate like right before the game. It was a noon kick, so that definitely threw us off. Threw me off. At
Yeah.
least I'm used to the 3:30 or later
Right.
kick. I'm not used to a noon kick. Just
Yeah.
Notre Dame never plays a home game at noon. So all my years, it's either 2:30, 3:30, or 7:30.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to a noon game. Felt more like a college game, even though it was in a pro stadium. It felt
Right.
more college
Yeah, yeah,
gamey
yeah.
than the previous week stadium did. So, so that was good. And then, yeah, I thought atmosphere was good. Of course, when you play Navy, they bring in all the cadets, the different
Mhm.
battalions. You have a good feel, like a good
Yeah,
college feel.
Still have student section.
Yeah, no student section, but kind of a student section.
I mean, I call it student section.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I'd call it a student section too. All the Navy recruits.
Yeah. So it was a good flow. It was a good feel. And then, yeah, the team played well. It was a great game. And then there was a little bit. Then things kind of fell apart a little bit. We had to get to the Lot E after the game. Anything from the game stand out to you
Yeah.
guys?
yeah.
Because we haven't really talked about like the experience at the game itself.
Oh.
So one thing at halftime that I thought was really cool
Oh,
is that
yeah.
they had some of the new recruits, or I'm not sure exactly what you call them, but they got sworn in to join the military right there on the field.
yeah, I was
And
confused. It was really cool, but was it? I couldn't remember if they clarified. Like, was it people that were seniors and were graduating, or if it was people that were freshmen? That
No, these were people who were committing.
committing to
Like
the
they were-
military.
So
they
did
were
they?
gonna-
Go, I didn't know. Did they go to the Naval Academy though?
I don't know if they were going to the Naval Academy or they were
They
just on their way to
accepting their
the
oath.
boot camp. They were
Yeah.
doing their oath
Okay,
of, yeah.
that's us. Yeah, but that was awesome.
Yeah, that was so cool and very
Because was it the Department of Defense or something, like
Yeah, it was the
Secretary of Defense?
Secretary of Defense, and then it was like just the Navy. like,
Yeah.
swearing your oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and they were basically taking their oath to join the Navy.
Yeah.
So very cool.
Yeah. And the game was good. I mean, it's always good to see Notre Dame win. I felt like you guys touched on the stadium, but we had good seats, good leg room. The seats were nice. I always like it when we're in a stadium where the seats have backs, so that was nice.
One of the best parts of the game we can't not mention is the alma maters after the game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was Naval. I mean, obviously, if you've never been Notre Dame versus Navy, like we go with them and they do their school fight song, and then they come over to us and do the alma mater with us. So I mean, it's just
Yeah.
super cool. I heard TV's cut away from it, so people were mad on X and all the social medias. But yeah, I mean, super sweet moment. Go check out the video if you haven't seen one yet.
After the game, we got into a little bit of a logistics difficulty. I won't say difficulty too much. It was mild,
Mm-hmm.
but we had to go to the lot E, and then like I don't know. There's this whole corral that you stand in.
I feel like we were being herded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah. You go into this corral and you get herded, and it's like now we got to like wait for the like Uber driver to show up, and they wouldn't let you out of the corral unless you went the wrong direction, or until your app would show the Uber drivers within 2 minutes.
And there's a bunch of people standing there like that are say they're Uber drivers, like
Yeah,
book.
Right.
Oh, I can book you right here, right now. But it's like
my car's waiting. You can go.
But it's like Uber, you book ahead. So I don't know why. Like, and then like taxi-ish. I'm like, why would you not just call yourself a taxi? But they were like, Uber. This is Uber. It was so weird. Like, and there was what did you say, 25 of these people like throwing their phones like I can
In
book.
your face.
Yeah, like oh, right here, my car's. I was like, what the heck? But,
Yeah, and it was weird because there was a group of guys that were talking to one of them, and the guy was like offering $160 for a ride, and I have no idea where to.
yeah,
But I know we were going to the airport, and our Uber ride was like $50,
yeah.
and that included tolls, so it was expensive, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh.
So yeah, I don't know if they're going to downtown New York City or what, like his and bars after, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but those guys like I got an Uber for like 40 or 50 or something like that, and
Yeah.
so it's like they were just looking for people who didn't have plans and they could just were willing to spend the money and
Yeah.
and go. So
It was weird though.
it was
Yeah,
it was
for sure.
definitely
Like-
weird.
Feeling trapped in that area and the guards won't let you through until your driver is right there.
And yeah, they said, well, show us when you come back when you've got like 2 minutes to go. And I walk up, I'm like, okay, our Uber driver's going to be here in 2 minutes. And then he's like, oh no, I can see where he's at. He's going to get rerouted. He won't be here for another 7. And I'm like, what? And
He
sure
was right,
enough,
I thought.
and sure enough,
2 seconds later, right?
he was like rerouted and it's like 7 more minutes. I'm like, oh, okay. So we go to large sporting events. Notre Dame does a very good job with traffic flow.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If you go to like anything in Indianapolis,
Yep.
they are phenomenal at traffic flow. Like the Indy 500, the Colts games. I mean, whatever you do in Indianapolis, it's good. A&M, like out of A&M Stadium, like they just A&M in and out traffic was good. Like I'm just used to, even Purdue wasn't terrible in and out. Like I'm just used to having, and it just felt like New Jersey just didn't have it together.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, though.
It
Huh?
just didn't have it together. So all that being said and done, the Uber driver called and he's freaking out. He's like, I cannot pick you up. I'm going to be late. If I don't make it on time, Uber's going to cancel this. They're going to assign you another driver. And and I'm just like, okay, whatever. And he's like, but if they assign you another driver, that other driver won't be there fast either. And I know you want to get to the airport. He said, so stay on the line. Do not hang up. I'm like, okay. He said, walk over to the mall. Let's meet at the mall. So I'm like, okay. And again, we were like right there by the Uber line, right by the tunnel to walk to the mall. So, kudos to I think it was Bryce was his name, my new best friend.
Nice.
So anyway, we walked over. He waited. Actually, we walked and still beat him over to the mall area. But
I ran up picking up a piece of artwork.
yeah, Carter ran back up to a store in the mall and got a piece of
Worked out
art.
well.
We were thinking about it before, and
So, I mean, it wasn't like it was crazy logistics, but it did say, okay, now I'm getting a little nervous because this is starting to fall apart. And we had a short window on the backside for the flight. And I'm like, well, I don't know how this is going to go, but we'll see. We still had a few hours, so it
Yeah.
wasn't end of the world. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, we're in such terrible shape. But then we got in the car, and that was all good. Bryce and I had great conversation. I think Christy got a little jealous, but at least he didn't propose to me or ask me to be his husband. So, I mean, we've gotten over that part of it.
Right.
Oh, I forgot to mention, I got to go back to the game for one thing, because this is Maddie that got this started. Maddie had the Marcus Freeman cookie a few weeks ago at Notre Dame, and when she had the Marcus Freeman cookie, it was a green velvet, which is really just a red velvet cake that's colored green. And Cayden, you had a little bit of it. You liked it, right?
I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
I'm not too big of a cookie person.
I'm not either.
It was more of a cake, but it was really good.
It was solid. Well, then we go to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and Christy and I split a nothing but velvet red,
Nothing but cake.
a nothing but cake, red velvet.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a really nice halftime treat. I'm like, ooh, this is good. So when we were at Carlo's Bakery, I had pre-ordered a slice of red velvet cake, and then I got the opportunity to get the cheesecake, so I did it. So then we get to we go eat lunch, and I'm not feeling like I want this red velvet cake for lunch.
And it was a big piece of cake.
It was a good sized slice. So yeah, then I took the slice and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna carry it toward the stadium, and then I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna sneak it into the stadium. Can I sneak it into the stadium? So I took my jacket off and stuck it in the pocket. Fortunately, the jacket I had big pockets. And then Christy sees a sign. It's like, carry your stuff with you and carry it. Like, it said, carry your drink and food in. I'm like, oh, okay.
I've never seen that before.
I've never seen a stadium. So I'm like, here I am going rogue. I'm going to do something wrong. No, it's fine. So yeah, I carried it in, left it in my pocket. It was a nice, cool day. Didn't have to worry about the icing melting. And I'll tell you what, at the 2-minute warning at the end of the game,
2-minute timeout.
or the 2-minute timeout,
Oof.
it was a nice treat to have a slice of red velvet. It was a pretty good slice of red velvet cake too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's probably why I was in such a calm, comfortable mood, because I had just satisfied this red velvet thing. I got to say, Notre Dame, we need to get red velvet in the stadium. I need red velvet.
Give us the Marcus Freeman cookies inside the
stadium. I don't know if they sell them. We got to find out where, because
I would
now I'm hooked. It's a new tradition.
You want cake every game.
Yeah. Hey, we're 3-0 when I've had cake.
Mm.
I'm just saying.
Notre Dame, if you're hearing this, get this man some cake.
Yeah, I mean, let me eat cake. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, we get back to the story. We get into the Uber at the mall, and like the guy's telling us all about the mall, and he was an interesting cat. He claimed he worked for the United Nations, and you don't know what. Uber driver can tell you anything.
Yep.
And then he eventually was showing me his Facebook feed and like how he's worked at the United Nations, and you know this and that and the other, and
family photos.
I mean, we were best friends.
He was really nice.
You guys in the back seat were jealous.
We're just praying to make it to the airport in time.
And
Yes.
and so then on the way to the airport, we're in that I-95 traffic, which is just crazy. And as you're going through the traffic, we got to go through tolls, and then the team bus is coming up from Notre Dame, and there's like police escorts, so they're basically stopping traffic and moving everybody over, and it's just getting really just kind of getting crazy. Of course, the team's making great time, but everybody else is just stuck, right? And then it's like, oh, this isn't cool. And then our driver's kind of like, oh, maybe I can get behind the bus. There was no chance of that. Yeah. And then the Naval Academy buses came through, and the same thing. Everybody gets stopped, and the Naval Academy goes through, and he's like, maybe I can get behind the bus. And he didn't.
No.
We're like, he drops us off. Everything's good. We got plenty of time. Not as much as I thought we were going to have, but and then, I just knew Newark security was going to be a little more than Indianapolis security. Like, just you knew that. But we got through security and everything was good. Turns out we had a little more time than what we thought we were going to have. So our plane boards and everybody gets on, and I'm glad because like the gate area we were in felt like Texas A&M heat. It was warm.
Ridiculous.
It was warm.
Yeah.
And we all dressed for the game. Like we knew it was 64, 65. It was breezy. So I've got a long sleeve shirt on, my sweatshirt, my sweats. I think you do too, Mom. Like you're in.
I had a jacket and pants.
Yeah.
I had short sleeve and
a sweatshirt. Yeah.
I mean, I had short sleeve t-shirt on, but I wore a jacket. I didn't, but yeah, it was warm in that gate.
Yeah.
Well, we all get on the plane and we're ready to take off, and life is good.
Yeah.
And
And
all my time of flying, I have never had this happen before, and I've traveled a lot in my life and work. They make an announcement that there is one more person on the plane than what there should be, and we're just like, what? And so, yeah, and they're like, everybody needs to get off the plane, and we got to start the boarding process over. And I'm just like, okay. And we're all just kind of like talking as we're trying to deplane because, it takes 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I didn't take that long, but it seems like it. And everybody's like, why don't they just come down and just rescan everybody's boarding passes here on the plane?
Like they missed somebody, whatever.
Because, like we had 4 of us, and I had the boarding passes on my phone. I scan one, swipe it, scan one, swipe it. And, same thing for games. And I feel like it's so much less efficient than the old way they used to do it.
Are you wondering at this point if you missed a swipe?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking, is it me? Am I the problem? It's me?
Yeah.
I mean, Taylor Swift is going to be in Indianapolis, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking, okay. But I also knew there was other family from Indianapolis. They had 3 kids. And there was 5 of them. So maybe it was them, but who knows, right? So we get off the plane. And then they're sitting in Port Authority or TSA.
So we get off the plane, and there's three cops
Three
there.
cops
Yeah.
right there that looked pretty serious.
A little bit later.
Yeah, so like we get off the plane and then they send on the police, and I don't know, they're 3-4 minutes at most,
Yeah.
just a couple minutes, and then off comes the guy in handcuffs.
Yeah,
No,
there was a guy.
The guy came
No.
off with us,
He came off with us.
Oh, he
And
came
that-
off with us.
and then they took him back up the ramp because I'm assuming they took him down the side stairs off the
Yeah.
whatever it's called, and then down to and then took him to the jail. But yeah,
Yeah, he was out with us, and then they cuffed him and took him like they were taking him back into the plane. But
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
anyway, it was a really weird activity, and then they had to have the police dog come and sniff the plane to make sure there was no drugs or
Planted
bombs
anything.
or something hidden on the plane, and
Yeah.
give it a good sweep. So we ended up leaving, I don't know, an hour
after.
after. Everybody was in good spirits, though. It was because it was a plane going to Indiana.
Yeah.
90% of the people were probably Hoosiers, and that Midwest mentality where if it had been a plane going from Indiana to New York and it had been 90% New Yorkers or New Jersey, the crew was definitely appreciative. The ground crew and the flight crew, like, hey, thank you for your patience, and
I was like, no one was really complaining. Everyone's kind of like, all right, definitely figure this out. Make sure there's nothing on this plane that shouldn't be, because none of us want that. And
yeah, exactly.
make sure
Like,
it's safe before we go.
hey, we're all cool with making sure this plane
Yeah.
is proper. So yeah, that was kind of an interesting, like, and I think at that point we're all just kind of tired. It was a great day.
Yeah.
Notre Dame played great, but I think the energy for us was just kind of starting to wane a little bit because
Yeah, and then we're sitting back in that hot area you're talking about too.
yeah. So it's like, now I'm being abused. So I think that kind of like it just kind of wore on us all a little bit. Like, okay, we're really tired. So it was really nice. We got on the plane and it was cool, and it was like, okay, get us this hour and a half ride, get us to Indianapolis. Let's roll.
Pilot, like, once we get on the plane, he's doing his pre-flight announcement like normal, and then at the end he goes, and the guy that made us suffer through this is now in New Jersey booking. So
Yeah, yeah, which was
Gave a
kind
shout
of
out.
cool because
yeah,
normally when these kind of events happen, everybody just doesn't talk about it, and they were like, okay, yeah, this guy is gonna go spend the night in Essex County, and and so I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So then the flight back to Indianapolis after that was uneventful.
Yep.
Got back to the car, no problems, and then it was a
2-hour drive home.
2-hour drive home.
Yep.
With one minor online. In our effort to be efficient and get a late night snack on the way home, I'm not going to say anything about the guy in the other single camera, but somehow he placed a food order at the wrong location. So we show up and he goes,
One that we drove past, like not right past, but
yeah,
yeah.
it can happen. So again, a long
Check
day.
those apps. Check those.
It's a long day. We're all tired.
Okay, what
He's on the app.
I would say we've been up for 17, 18 hours at this point.
And he goes inside to pick up our to-go order so he can eat on the way. And I'm just like, why are cars coming in and out of the drive-through? And this place usually takes a few minutes. It's like, why are cars coming in and out of the drive-through going faster than us? And the first one or two, I thought, okay, maybe they order on the app too.
Yeah, because
they know-
yeah.
They know it's going to be 10, 15 minutes, order ahead, and it's 2 minutes. And I'm like, what's going on? And then
And I'm sitting in the restaurant thinking the same thing. Man, everyone else is getting their food, and they brought out a couple other mobile orders. I go up to them like, hey, you got my order? And then I look, and they're like, oh, we don't see that one. I look, and it's like, I'm like, oh my God. And I've ordered that one before. So I know the name of the road that one's on. I'm like,
yeah.
dang it.
So yeah, Carter comes walking out and he's got the phone to his ear, and I'm just like, what's going on? He's like, I ordered from the wrong store. Somehow the app. He said, I know I didn't, but it's like, all right, whatever. So, So yeah, we were going to do that, but even before that, Cayden wanted a different restaurant. So as we're going to go get Cayden's food from a different restaurant, we were like, okay, we'll go to the different restaurant, and then Carter will order from the restaurant we want food from, and then by the time we get there, it'll be done. So we're going to pull in on the road that the restaurant Cayden wants, because it's like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
These two restaurants are 5 minutes from each other. It's like no big deal. And there is a line, you can't get on the road to get to this restaurant. I could see the restaurant as we
drove past it.
Yeah, and then we had to make a roundabout and then come back. And
No line at the restaurant.
no line at the restaurant. We're going to be in and out. This will be quick. We couldn't get there, and we're like, so had to go past where I wanted to go, make a U-turn, come back, and I couldn't get there, and traffic was going slow. So I just said to this police officer, what's going on? And he says, something about the car wash. And I'm like,
Is it
it's 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like car wash. So we have the fiasco of getting our food, and it's like what was supposed to be a 5-minute stop becomes a half-hour stop.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, we might as well go back and see if the other restaurant is like still hard to get to.
Yep.
And it wasn't. I think they were having a Halloween like haunted house going through the car wash.
It was something.
Like, it was
I don't know.
like get your car washed and see the haunted house. So
Good for them.
yeah, good marketing. It's not what I expected to see 10:30 at night on the north side of Indianapolis, but it's what we saw.
Yeah, we made it home still, just a few minutes after midnight.
Yeah,
though,
but yeah,
with all the delays.
so yeah, just a nice 20-hour
Yeah.
It's a long
quick trip.
20-hour day.
Yep.
But it was a
Yeah.
great day.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think it was an awesome day. I think we all had a great time.
Mhm.
Again, I think that when we were leaving New York, we were all feeling a little tired because I mean, the energy was up in New Jersey. Like we were all excited. The game was exciting, and then it was like, now we're a little tired. But it was a really good trip. It was a really good day trip. I don't recommend everybody do it every weekend.
We appreciate everyone submitting their score predictions for the contest, and we're sorry to say no one won this week. No one had the Irish putting up 51. Saw some people had Navy at 14. So
Yeah.
well, Cayden was a little close, but anywho, definitely check out for future games. We'll definitely be doing this throughout the season until we have a winner. So Florida State's next. Keep submitting those. We'll keep putting posts up. You guys comment on.
And it is so hard to to score right. But yeah, we didn't get the score. No one got the score right, but
I'm feeling it though.
a lot of interaction, a lot of conversation. So we still have the Hartman jersey to give to somebody.
Yep.
And we'll keep trying to give that thing away.
Yeah, we want you guys to have it.
Like I want somebody to win it from us, right?
Can I give a shout out?
Oh,
Yeah.
shout out.
Go.
I'd like to shout out my brother who
Hmm.
tried to participate in the contest but doesn't know how to do social media. So
Yeah.
he texted his score to me, but he had Navy win.
That doesn't
Okay.
count.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know. I appreciate him contributing his score to you via text.
Yeah.
But what were the rules, Carter?
So
Hey, gotta be following,
Yep.
which I think he covered.
He does have that covered.
Got to comment on the post,
You have to comment on a post.
and you got to tag somebody.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he can practice that this week, and
Yeah.
maybe there will be another.
Try it on
contest.
some random post.
Well, it's a bye week, so
Oh.
it's a good chance to practice, but he
Yep.
won't win anything.
Yep.
And if he can't get it done,
If you can't get the score right this week,
then all we can say is he don't compute. All right, so Carter, let's get ready. Let's talk about
get
the
ready
game.
to get in game.
Cayden, oh, there you go. We need some
All you
love.
need is love. Like it was a game that had so many reasons, like we talked about before, that was not much upside, but a lot of potential downside to losing that game. And the Irish just came out and looked fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was,
A team performance too, right?
yeah, it was just well played on. Maybe you could say the phase 3 when you talk about special teams.
Yeah.
We did miss a field goal,
Yep. That's
but
true.
punting was solid. And I hadn't gone back and saw any video on the field goal that was missed. It wasn't like
Yeah.
it was short. It was just left a little bit.
Which Navy missed one later in the game that was left on that same side.
Same side.
Yeah.
Which we talked about that. It was kind of weird. There didn't seem to be wind, but yet there seemed to be wind.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a Meadowlands thing or
Yeah.
what. Because I know when we were outside the seats in the concourse area, like
Yeah.
it was windy, but
Yep.
inside our seats, we didn't feel wind.
The goalposts weren't windy.
But there was those flags in the cadet section for
Yeah.
Navy that they seemed to be blowing pretty
Yeah.
strong. It was like, I don't know on that if there was some sort of wind, but yeah, I mean everywhere else, I think the Irish played great offensively. You got to feel good about what we did.
Yeah.
Defensively, you have to feel good about what we did.
Yeah.
I think the only shocking thing in all of this is just sloppy play by Navy.
Oh
We can kind of get into that, I guess.
I mean, yeah, it was one of our things this week. Like they've turned the ball, they average 0.3 turnovers per game. Haven't turned the ball over since August 31st, back when we played Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Was their last turnover. Think how long ago that seems at this point. And what 6?
Yeah.
And like chances for other ones that they got on top of.
Yeah. It would just
5 fumbles and an interception, right?
that's probably the thing that surprised me the most about the entire game. And
Yeah.
when we sat down, there was a gentleman next to us, and he was just there to see a good football game.
Yep.
Like, wasn't rooting for Navy, wasn't rooting for Notre Dame, just there to see a good football game. And, you know, he's like, yeah, Navy's supposed to be really good this year. I'm like, yeah, that's what they're saying. I'm kind of curious to see him. And my point was, I told him, I'm like, you know, the one thing we know about Navy is they're not going to give up till the fourth quarter is over, and that's when they'll quit. And I said, and they play disciplined football. I said, Notre Dame has to, you know, start fast and play disciplined football.
Yeah.
We started fast and we were more disciplined.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of penalties. I don't There was a few. The,
Yeah, it's,
there was a
roughing the passer.
roughing the passer. Well, there was a offsides on the kickoff.
I mean, there was two offsides, one on each team.
One
on
on
a
each
kick.
team.
There was a very, very questionable false start on a Riley Leonard second rushing touchdown that don't get me started on.
Would have helped the parlay, wouldn't it?
Parlay would have hit.
Yeah.
Parlay would have hit.
But yeah, overall, I mean, it was Notre Dame played really well, and Navy surprisingly was a little sloppy. But
yeah, and I mean, we've been to a lot of Notre Dame Navy games. I'm trying to think back. I mean, I've probably seen Notre Dame play Navy at Notre Dame probably 4, 5, 6.
Most common game you've been to by far.
Yeah, like common opponent. Yeah, like that's just the classic. It's a great game to go to. Like if you're ever looking to go to your first Notre Dame game, like next year, look at the Navy game. Like it's just, I mean, awesome.
And Navy should come in as a really good team next year.
Yeah, as well. Yeah,
like they should come in really good again next year.
Yeah.
So it'll be a good game. But yeah, I just that was probably the biggest surprise. I think your point was going to be that we've never seen Navy play that sloppy.
And they didn't have a bunch of penalties by any means. I'm trying to think how many penalties they had. They couldn't have had very many, but I mean, I've never seen Navy turn the ball over like that.
Just drop balls.
Like not like Notre Dame forcing.
I think there was one we punched out. I think the rest of them were
like
just
drops. Yeah. Like it was odd. I don't know if like we were joking about during the game, like or do your job segment. Like, is it going to be the Navy equipment manager? Did he throw out like a fresh ball or something? Well, like what was going on there? Like.
Yeah, he didn't scuff it up.
He didn't break the ball in this week. Was he sick?
Or do we give kudos to the Notre Dame equipment manager because he made that ball hard to catch on the punts and the kicks?
Yeah,
I mean,
I have no idea. Like that was. Just
do we blame the Under Armour gloves for Navy?
Yeah,
but that doesn't explain the ball bouncing off your face mask.
That was like the most ridiculous thing. Like I was like, what more can go wrong for Navy?
Yeah,
like. That was just it was a good punt. Like he seemed to have it tracked. I don't feel like he backed up a whole bunch.
He was under it. He had his eye on it.
Yeah, he definitely had his eye on it. No doubt about that.
Actually, I think it was a kickoff. That was a kickoff.
No, it was a punt.
It was a punt? Okay.
It was a punt.
So, yeah, I think he probably said to the coach, I'll make this joke again because I made it yesterday and I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Dad joke 101. He said to the coach, you want me to let it go or you want me to return it? And coach just said, use your head.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah, no kidding.
So that was kind of the crazy thing of it was the sloppiness. And I think when you take it into its totality, Notre Dame was dominant, but not as dominant as they appeared because the score was inflated a couple of scores.
51-14. I mean,
it was inflated a couple of scores, but I think Notre Dame was still dominant. It was still a great win. And the good thing is, and we'll talk about this, so let's go through the game and we'll talk about how this game impacted the polls. But I think if you just see the stats and you didn't see the game, it's going to look really favorable in those polls.
Oh, yeah.
Because the stat line looks like a total domination by Notre Dame, shutting down.
Which we did dominate.
Which I think it inflated. It's an inflated. Yeah. We look more dominant. We were dominant, but we looked more dominant than we really were. I mean, it probably should have been more of a 42-14 game instead of a 51.
I think that's what Maddie had predicted. I think I saw another 42-14 prediction out there. Could have got you a jersey.
Could have. But
sorry about it. Didn't.
Hey,
next game.
Future weeks.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, you go through the game, and I think, we started off with the ball and had a nice, opening drive.
Yeah.
And
went down scored.
And it was like, okay, Riley Leonard, we got down close, and Riley Leonard running in. And it was like.
Here's Jordan's, what he called it. I don't know if they said this on TV. He called Riley Leonard a touchdown poacher. Vulture.
Yeah, he texted us. He's a touchdown vulture.
Which I couldn't agree more on that. Yeah. I mean, dude's just down there. Once you get inside the 5, it's kind of like he's like, I'm gonna keep this. Let me get in there. Which, if he's scoring, I don't care as long as the ball is getting in the end zone. Right?
Yeah. Hey, just score points.
Yep.
So that was a really good start, and then Navy got the ball on their opening possession and didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And they didn't score.
Right.
It's like, whoa, okay, we got to stop.
Yeah.
We got to turn. We got the ball, back to us, and then we come back down. We scored again. It was a touchdown pass to Mitchell.
Chris Mitchell. Yeah. Would have been nice last week for a parlay, but that doesn't happen. Life doesn't happen
just keep winning, baby.
Just keep winning, right? Right.
So
drive down back the field again there and get the second touchdown of the game. I mean,
now we're up 14, and you're like, okay,
less than halfway through the first, I think.
It was.
I remember
it
the time.
5 minutes or so to go when the second touchdown, but still, we're up 14-0 with 5 to go in the first quarter, and you're feeling okay. Now, not a slow start.
Yeah,
we needed to be fast.
Yeah.
We've got Navy in an uncomfortable position of playing from behind, which, this is a more spread
Right.
fast-paced triple option,
Yeah.
but they hadn't been in this position, I don't think,
Right.
before. So you felt good about it.
Mm.
And then they got the ball back and really didn't. They got a few yards, but they didn't do anything exotic. And then we got the ball and we started marching again. We stalled a little bit
Yeah.
and we missed the field goal.
Yeah.
And it felt like that was a makeable
crap.
field goal.
Yeah.
And the
Was
Navy
it 45 inside 45? I don't remember the exact distance on it, but it wasn't like
it wasn't crazy.
no.
So yeah, the Navy turns around off of that drive. They come down and score.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this 14 about to be 17 nothing. Like we're way in control. Game tightened. It felt like the game tightened up a little bit. Like, wait, now it's only 14-7. This game isn't over, and Navy's not going away. And I think it was just a minute or two into the second quarter when they scored.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just like, now what?
Yeah.
But Notre Dame responded like
The next score, yeah.
The next series. We didn't even go to first down. I think it was like a minute or two later of game time.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
Just Jeremiah Love just being Jeremiah Love.
Yeah. Huge play by him.
Yeah, I mean, so
he played great yesterday.
So yeah, when that touchdown scored, we went back up 21-7, and you're feeling like, oh, okay, we responded. This is good. We're rolling.
Yep.
And then from there, it just continued to snowball. Irish.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, the Irish just got. I don't want to say hot because they made things happen. Like, I don't want to take care of it. I mean, Navy had a few big runs, but besides that, I think I saw like they were averaging like 2 yards a play if you take those runs out of it. Like,
Yeah, they had plays.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good Navy offense.
Uh-huh.
Very unique, up tempo, triple option out of the. They were like running RPO out of the spread.
Yeah.
Like it was really interesting. It was like a modern version of the old
Yeah, which I thought
option.
was kind of fun to more fun to watch than obviously like when you went to a Navy game when I was 10, like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. It was kind of like we know what they're going to run every single play. Like it's going to be, and I mean, which is very similar this time, but it's like there is a few more variations to it. So,
but they were in a spread look.
Yeah.
And then the receiver comes in and they either it was like an RPO, hand the ball. It was kind of a triple option. The quarterback could run, hand it off, or pass it. And it was like
sometime a receiver coming around for a jet sweep. Like just a couple different options. There.
I mean, and there was one. I mean, that Philly special that they didn't.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, they had us burnt.
Yeah, I mean, so they did some things. Again, it was kind of a sloppy for Navy. It was a real sloppy game.
Yeah,
an uncharacteristic. You'll never see Navy play in the next 50 years that sloppy. I don't think ever again. But
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was. But I mean, we got the Jeremiah Love touchdown that got us up 21. Then we got another Jeremiah Love touchdown.
That one was the 2-yard one, I think.
Yeah, that was
short. Yeah.
That was off of the fumble, wasn't it? Was that a Navy fumble?
I'm trying to remember. It was a turnover where we got
field.
it down inside the 10.
It was short field,
yeah.
And then Love scored that second touchdown. So now we're up 28. And then I think, we get a field goal
at the end
before
of the half.
Yeah.
So it puts up 31-7 at the half. Navy got the ball coming out of the half, but I mean, we're feeling real good at 31-7 at that point.
Yeah, and did they score the first drive out of the half? They scored first in the second half.
Yep.
Yeah.
They scored they made it 31-14. I think it was the first drive.
Okay. Yeah, so they came in and they scored, and that was a good.
It was a 47-yard run. It was their long touchdown run.
Yeah.
Their quarterbacks went for 47.
Yeah, he kind of made the end and went around. And was like showed some speed and but then after that we got the ball back and it was like okay, but you felt comfortable. Like even though they got that 14, you still felt comfortable.
Oh my bad. Their first touchdown was the long one. Their second one was a 1-yard punch in, but.
Okay, the first one was a long run. But
because remember, we were talking about this. It was like, okay, Navy scored. It's 31-14, but it was like a 7-minute drive. Like, they took forever to get down there. Like, it was like, okay, yes, they did just score on us, but
they took 7 minutes. And
you can't do that. Like,
you can't spot us 28 points or 31.
Yeah,
31-7.
And
you
then
can't come back with 7-minute drives.
So that's what it was. It was the long drive to start the second half. It was like, okay, it sucks we got scored on, don't get me wrong, but like our defense was holding up for such a long time. Like, I don't feel terrible about it.
But we responded pretty quickly, pretty well. Because, I mean, I think our drive after that was, I don't know, it wasn't very many plays, 3-4 minutes, and that was the pass to Bill Collins.
Yeah, about 3-minute drive I got marked down here.
Yeah, so, I mean, that went like, okay, now we're back. Like, just when it felt like Notre Dame might be giving up a little bit of momentum, and Navy
Yeah.
might be picking some up. Notre
Yeah.
Dame went and snatched it back
Mhm.
and said, "Nope, we're going to keep the momentum going." So
Yeah.
and that was a nice throw to Bo Collins. He came and made a nice play on it, got
Mhm.
that touchdown, and then Navy got the ball back, and they fumbled that one. I think Snead actually scored that one, didn't he? Like the next
Yeah, I think the
touchdown
next one was
Snead.
the Jalen Snead touchdown.
Yeah,
So yeah, they
like the
fumbled
defensive
like in
score.
the end zone. Yeah.
And he jumped on it, which good for Snead, right? I mean,
Yeah.
So yeah, so when you just felt like there was a little bit of Navy getting back in it, we put it away really quickly.
Yeah,
and
that's
got
what I
out-
think I'm probably most proud about the Irish. Like there's a few moments like, oh shoot, maybe Navy's got a little momentum. And
Yeah.
it was like they didn't feel like they had it for very long. Like we snatched it right back. So
Yeah, I mean, again, I think right after we missed the field goal, it felt like there was a little bit of Navy momentum.
Yeah.
And then right after they scored, that opening drive, it's like, well, they got momentum, but does it really mean anything if it takes 7 minutes to score?
yeah.
And then boom, we score.
scored.
Boom, turnover, we score.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this game's over at this
Yeah.
point. There's just
Exactly.
we're like, just stay healthy through the fourth
Yeah.
quarter.
And that
Just stay healthy.
yeah. And that's something I mean we saw Angeli, we saw Kendron Young gets our last touchdown. So he gets
Yeah.
in the end zone. So that
Yes.
was pretty sweet with I think like 7 minutes left in the game. So that gets us our final score of 51-14. But yeah, I mean, one of my biggest takeaways from yesterday, the Irish just responded. Like every chance that Navy seemed to have, like they had an inch, we didn't give them a mile, right? Like the old saying. So we didn't give them much when they did have the momentum. We definitely took it back. And yeah, we came out yesterday pretty healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, like there
only
wasn't
one player that was in the fourth quarter.
like that was like the first
down.
injury stop for the whole game.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember another injury stop.
And and you talk about like the concerns or the myth or the rumor that people who wear Under Armour have higher injury
Yeah.
percentage. We talked about strength and conditioning at Notre Dame. Is there something there because of some of the
Yeah.
injuries we had? The Meadowlands,
Yeah, MetLife Stadium.
MetLife is notorious in NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, for like injury. So it just felt, and then you play Navy, and
Physical team. Yeah.
it just felt like we're going to have some injuries. We can't
Yeah.
afford injuries.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember who it was that went down. It was a defensive lineman, I think.
In the fourth, yeah.
But hopefully it's not anything serious. We'll find out.
Yeah. And I mean, there's always a chance that a guy picked up a nick on the elbow or the knee and just played the rest of the game. So like,
Yeah.
it's not. I'm not saying we can, but it's like we're
No
talking
major
about
injury.
Yeah,
Nobody
no-
lost an ACL.
Yeah,
or,
exactly. Like
season ending that we
no,
saw.
Yeah, exactly. Because
So-
obviously, like BMO didn't get carted off the field like his last game, and he's out for the year. But like, there's nothing like an injury stoppage or like a guy we remember seeing like grabbing something running off the field.
Yeah.
Like it was a pretty clean game.
So I think it's going around social media, and if you're on social, you probably saw it. But one of my favorites was the meme that we were seeing immediately after the game, and I've seen 100 different places, I think, since then.
Yeah.
Is the Jets and the Giants have combined in 6 games.
Yeah.
Or 7 games have combined for 6 scores
At MetLife.
at MetLife Stadium.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame in one game scored 7 times.
Yeah. No, I think the Jets and Giants for 6 and Notre Dame for 7 because there's more.
Yeah, in 7 games they scored 6 times.
Yeah,
In
we've-
one game Notre
We've
Dame scored 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that's kind of
Yeah.
a neat little fact. It means nothing in the great scheme of things.
No.
Except it had a real positive impact on, like we talked about earlier, the polls.
Yeah. I mean, we were both talking about last night because we got back late. We were in the car late. It was kind of like we were just talking back and forth. We were like, man, I just felt like we're going to be disappointed this week. We're watching the LSU Texas A&M game. We're listening to it. And it was kind of like, man, A&M's pulling this off. All right. Is A&M going to freaking jump us now? Like this SEC bias, that first week is going to be nothing now. A&M's going to jump us. IU won big.
ESPN was there. Everybody's big on IU.
Yeah, Ohio State didn't look good against Nebraska, and Indiana beat the crap out of Nebraska.
Yeah.
It's like, is IU going to make this ridiculous jump? Is Texas A&M going to jump? Like, we're legitimately talking on the way home. Like, we might fall in the polls again.
Yeah,
this week.
That
was our expectation.
Last night we had convinced ourselves it was a possibility that we could wake up to polls that were
13 or 14.
13.
Yeah.
We did LSU's 14 and we're 13.
Yeah. So I
Um,
mean, we were legitimately talking ourselves into that last night. And then the coaches poll came out. The coaches poll comes out first on Sunday
Yeah.
morning or Sunday mid-afternoon. I guess it's 12, 1-ish. I don't remember.
Yeah, we were kind of sitting there, and I'm like, wait a minute,
Like, we came in at 9?
we're 9 in the coaches poll.
Yeah.
we moved up. Happily found we
Yeah.
moved up in the coaches poll.
Like, well, wait for the AP. Well, I'm sure we'll be different.
Yeah, and then AP,
The AP was different.
it was in a very good way.
We were number 8.
We're 8,
Yeah.
and so I mean, again, I think it probably favored the fact that all the highlights, and if you didn't watch the game, you didn't
Yeah.
probably key up.
Which was a noon kick. So yeah, I remember those people on the West Coast. That's 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Like,
So I think writers, coaches, a lot of those guys are betting with their head and their heart, when they make those predictions and those polls, and,
Right.
and it's stat lines and what they see.
yeah.
Everybody is like, Navy has been good. Navy's been scoring.
Yeah.
Navy didn't score.
Top 5 scoring offense.
Navy didn't score but 14 points against this Notre Dame defense.
And Navy hasn't turned the ball over. Notre Dame for 6.
6.
Yeah.
What did Notre Dame do?
Yeah.
So when you look at the stat line, it looks like Notre Dame just handed a beat down to the
Yeah.
Naval Academy.
Yeah.
I mean, we
did.
we took them back to basic training. I mean, it was a rough
You're
rough
waiting on that
afternoon.
one, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that was kind of interesting. So now, we can talk about this during the bye week podcast.
Yeah.
We're in a really good spot right now, and I think we're kind of where you want to be.
Oh, 100%.
We like, hey, if you're a Notre Dame fan, and I know the Notre Dame fan base, and let's talk about this podcast. I think the Notre Dame fan base is in such a weird spot. We'll save this for bye week as well, but
Yeah.
just they're all over the place. I mean,
Yeah.
people are mad that we didn't win by more. People mad we ran up the score. I seen all kinds of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
how do you run up a score in the Naval Academy? It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, did
Our
you watch the
starters
game?
were out the whole fourth quarter.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we ran the ball, and Jelly, I think, threw 4 passes in the fourth
We
quarter.
let a true
Like,
freshman who's going to be a stud
Yeah.
run the ball, and he scored.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, what did you want us to do? The equipment
Take a
manager's
knee?
not eligible.
Yeah. Take a
Yeah.
knee every play? Like, what are we going on
Yeah.
there? But
So that's just a social media thing.
all right. You want to get in the rankings a little bit more, right? Just real quick.
Yeah, we can jump in rankings.
All right. So Oregon 1, Georgia 2, Penn State 3, Ohio State 4, Miami, Florida 5, Texas 6, Tennessee 7, the Irish 8, BYU 9, and A&M 10. I'll just go through the top 10 there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot to take away, though, because, I mean, you've got Oregon, who's, I think everyone can agree, kind of looks as the best team this season.
Best
Like,
looking team, and I think they've got
undefeated.
they've got
Yeah.
the easiest schedule going here on out.
I mean, but they beat some good teams, though.
Yeah, but they don't have anybody to worry about till Big Ten championship.
Yeah. So,
So they're going to stay probably 1.
Yeah. And then you've got Georgia right behind them. I expect them to keep rolling to the SEC championship. I think they've got Florida this week. I'm trying to think. I don't think they've got any other big dogs, unintended.
Yeah. Seems like there's somebody else that Georgia has to play that I don't think they'll beat them, but there's like maybe they could give them
Could be a
fits.
game.
Yeah.
I would say they don't play A&M. See if I can pull it up real quick. But then right behind them is Penn State. Penn State and Ohio State. So, I mean, that's this weekend. That's a noon kick this weekend. So,
And I've just got to say this. Who has Penn State played?
oh, yeah, 100%.
I just think, they talk about October is where you separate the pretenders
Yeah.
from the contenders, or November, I'm sorry.
Yep.
November is where you separate the pretenders from the
Yep.
contenders. I will be shocked. Now, from a Notre Dame perspective, best case scenario is a Penn State win. A 2-state Ohio State loss is out of the running. And then you're Notre Dame, and if you do have to face a Big Ten team in the playoffs, give me an unproven
Penn State. Yeah.
who at that point may only have to beat or will probably lose to Oregon in a Big Ten championship game, and people will be like, "Oh, okay,
Oregon's good." Yeah,
Oregon's good."
So that was definitely my mistake on Georgia's schedule. So they've got Florida this week, then they've got Old Miss. So that will be a good game at Old Miss, and then they host Tennessee.
Okay, that's the big one.
That's the big one. I forgot about that one. And then they got home Massachusetts, and then they play Georgia Tech at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Tennessee is the game that they could lose.
Yeah.
If there's a game they could lose, because Tennessee showed that they can compete when they beat Alabama.
Yep.
And Alabama beat Georgia.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's interesting. The SEC, Tennessee's the wild card.
Yeah.
I am so rooting for Texas A&M though.
Oh yeah. I mean,
just keep winning, baby.
No kidding.
Just keep winning. How good would it feel for your Notre Dame going into the final week and
A&M wins the SEC championship?
A&M is the SEC championship,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh yeah, SEC champion.
Yeah.
We beat them by 10
Yeah. No. At their place.
at their place
At night. Week one. Yeah.
prime time, big game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's interesting, but I don't think it'll happen. But you kind of got to root for Penn State to win that game against Ohio State.
Yeah.
One, because I hate Ohio State, but two,
Yeah.
and the only thing that like tugs at me is it's Notre Dame. I just want to see us beat Ohio State sometime in my life.
Yeah.
So If
Yeah.
we can get Ohio State that's about to give up on themselves, but I think this playoff series is not going to be like a bowl game where they don't try. I mean, everybody's going to give.
Everyone will be playing.
Everybody's coming to win because, like,
Yeah.
hey, if we're in it, we got a chance. We're underdogs,
Yeah.
back against the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
So probably our best bet would be to have Penn State win. I don't think that'll happen because I don't think Penn State's that good.
yeah.
But if Penn State finds a way to beat Ohio State,
Yeah.
So then
after that, we got Texas at 5, and
Yeah.
they struggled this weekend against Vandy.
yeah, well, but we talked about that I think a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, their record against Vandy has never been good,
Yeah.
and I don't know what that is. I don't know what's in the water. I don't know what it is about Vandy, but
Yeah. But Texas's schedule remainder, they got Florida, Arkansas, which Arkansas has looked pretty decent this year. I mean, they've had their ups and downs, right?
yeah,
I said they knocked off Tennessee. Then they got Kentucky, which rivalry game, that'll be big. And then even bigger Texas, Kentucky's not a rivalry game. That's what I mean. And even a really big rival, though, coming back, Texas A&M that last week of the
see,
season.
I think that's an intriguing game.
Yeah. So
Texas should win out their schedule, but I think A&M might just
at Kyle
just
Field.
might be
Ooh, man.
yes.
I hope that one's not the same time as that Notre Dame USC game. They'll probably be at the same time, but
they're probably both going to be. Well, I think probably. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Notre Dame USC could be the 3:30 game
Eastern,
which would make it the noon game in California.
Yeah.
As
long as it's not the noon Eastern game.
Yeah. That'll stink.
Yeah.
That'll stink. So yeah, I think A&M. I mean, we felt like A&M was going to be a good team this year. I didn't think they'd be competing for the SEC championship.
Yeah.
But I thought they'd be good. I thought the next couple of years they would be a contender for SEC championships.
Yeah.
I expected Alabama to fall off more this year than they did. To my surprise, Alabama's been better this year than I expected them to be with all the losses and changes. But yeah, I don't think Texas can look past A&M and think they're going to give them that little brother syndrome.
Yeah.
Just not there.
So we did skip Miami at 5.
But they play nobody.
Right. They play nobody, but we do have a benchmark. They just beat Florida State 36-14.
Yeah.
I think the Irish got to be like, all right.
But what they beat Louisville by? They didn't beat Louisville by much.
But we already played Louisville, though.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. They didn't beat Louisville by much.
52-45, a high-scoring game. I'm just saying, like, I think the Irish got to look at this one and be like, all right, they beat Florida State by this much. Let's just go out and crush Florida State. We'll be like, look, we beat them, and then we beat that. Because what we beat Louisville by? 7, 10?
Something like that.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, like, I think we got a benchmark here. Like, okay, this is how much they beat Florida State by. Let's go beat Florida State by 50, just because there's a number. But
let's have a more.
I mean,
win.
but Miami's got Duke left. They got Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Syracuse. I mean, they're into that ACC championship. But will they be playing Pitt? Maybe.
That will be interesting.
Yeah, see what Pitt does. I mean, undefeated Pitt. So yeah, all we're saying is, and that gets you to Tennessee there at 7, and then we were talking about Tennessee. They've got Georgia, Texas, and then they play Kentucky, which is their rival.
That's their rival.
Yep.
And throw out the records.
Yep.
A rivalry game like that, you throw out the record.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull out the rest of their schedule, but it's like
I think that's it. They don't have a whole lot on their schedule.
Yeah.
But Notre Dame, like you look at it, Notre Dame's in a good position. We've said it.
I mean, that's all we're trying to get at here. Like, yeah, they got Vandy at the end of the year, I guess, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Georgia, UTEP, and then Vandy to end the year.
And, well, Vandy, you can't take them lightly.
Yeah, no kidding.
And had Vandy beaten Texas,
yeah,
I think the students would have probably set a new record for time to get to the goal post.
Yeah, I mean, they might have beat them.
They
beat the previous record.
The hour and 3 might have been beaten.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's an interesting position that we're in.
Oh yeah,
And
I mean,
we can dive more into it during the.
Oh yeah, we will.
podcast.
And we'll definitely dive into it after we get the official college football playoff rankings.
Yes. Yeah. That
November 5th.
November 5th. I think we can probably.
So that Florida State preview. Florida State's obviously down. I'm sure we'll be a lot talking about the college football playoff rankings. We'll obviously still do a deep dive into the game, but there will definitely be some college football playoff rankings because I mean that's what we gotta do.
Yeah, and we don't know. I mean, the committee may not think Notre Dame is a number 8. They may think we're on the bubble.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You don't know.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. I feel like 7-8 feels about right for us. I mean, had we not lost to NIU, we'd be number 2,
maybe
3 at the worst.
Yeah,
like we'd be 2 or 3, and we'd be like
no doubt.
We'd be a 5 seed lock.
Yeah,
But I still think 6 or 7 is where we want to go, and we can speculate on who we might play and where we might play, and it'll flush itself out over the next 4 weeks.
No, definitely.
5 weeks for sure. So I'm excited about that. I think that's going to be interesting, just because now college football is getting into that.
Yeah.
It's not the playoffs, but it's almost the playoffs.
Oh,
For
yeah.
Notre Dame, it's been the playoffs ever since we lost to NIU. Just keep winning.
Yep. Gotta handle business. But there's definitely a lot of movement still coming.
Yeah. So
I think that's the exciting part. And that's just games where you're like, oh shoot, someone's gotta lose one of those. And that's not including upsets, not including anything else. But I think the biggest thing for Notre Dame is we can't have a SMU win the ACC. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna keep pushing us back in the poll, or a Pitt win the ACC. Like someone that's way behind us, and then they jump up, and then someone, you know what I mean? Someone stays in front of us.
If we come in and it'll, if we'll see.
Yeah.
If we're in that 8-9 range, in the college football playoffs, if an SMU comes in, or some and wins the ACC and they beat Miami, and so Miami's ranked 5 and they lose to SMU. I think we stay where we're at, and they probably fall right behind us, and SMU jumps ahead of us because they're going to get that. They're going to get that 4.
That's what I'm saying, though. Right now, we've got 3 Big Ten teams in there, like in front of us.
Yeah, they won't keep all.
Yeah, so if IU,
I'm
just saying, if IU comes in and wins the Big Ten, like then it's like,
IU jumps us.
Yeah,
but if that happens, then I mean, if
someone's got to be behind us.
If Ohio State runs the schedule, and they beat IU and they beat Penn State, then they're gonna, that'll be the worst case scenario, because I think record wise they would still not be in the Big Ten championship because Penn State and IU would only have 1 loss.
But they'd have the head to head against both, so they'd be.
But Ohio State has 2 losses in the Big Ten.
They only have their 1 loss right now.
I know, but now that they only have the 1, so that's right. If they only have the 1 loss, then they would stay in with the head to head, and then you're going to see Penn State and Oregon, or Ohio State and Oregon play, and you're going to see Penn State and IU probably drop behind us a little bit, not ahead of us. Worst case scenario is Ohio State loses, Penn State wins.
Yeah.
Penn State plays Oregon, and they go to a 3-point game, and and it ends. Then whoever loses that Big Ten championship, they're both ranked ahead of us.
Yeah.
You could see one of them getting ranked 5th seed.
Yeah.
And the other one's going to get the 1st or 2nd seed, and then the other one's going to get the 5th or 6th seed.
Yeah.
But I think 6, 7 seed might be the sweet spot. I think, like for us, that might be the sweet spot. So we'll see. Can't speculate too much on it yet.
Yeah.
But we'll be able to start speculating really soon.
Yeah, exactly. We're just get easier to speculate, right?
There's something big going on November 5th this year.
Yeah.
And that's the first college football playoff.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. There's nothing else to talk about on that day.
I think I have a dentist appointment, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe? Okay. Well, there's something possibly to talk about. So yeah, that'll be kind of crazy. This coming week, I'm excited. This coming week, we have to see Coach Shrewsbury here in the.
I was saying we're not traveling far either.
Like it's a 10-minute ride, 15-minute ride.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to do that. And
so if you don't know, Purdue Fort Wayne is hosting an exhibition match against Notre Dame this week in Fort Wayne, which is lovely for us.
It's
at the Coliseum. Yeah,
15-20 minutes up the road.
We got our tickets early. We're ready to rock.
It's going to be a really nice. I'm excited to see the basketball team. I've been kind of following. I don't think you have. I've been following the Behind the Arc series.
Yeah.
It's not like this riveting. Oh my gosh, you got to see it.
Yeah, it's cool back behind.
It's a cool just story about the players and that kind of stuff. And if you're into basketball and you like the Notre Dame basketball team,
or if you're looking for you like the Notre Dame football team, and you're looking for you don't have a basketball team.
It really kind of introduces you to the characters, who the players are.
Yeah,
it just talks about them as individuals and their background.
Yeah, I've seen a few clips. Haven't watched the full, which I know they're not even that long, but
they're like 7-8 minutes. They're just little shorts. But so I've been watching that. I've been big on Coach Shrewsbury since we hired him.
Yeah.
I mean, he just drips with like a whole different style. I mean, he makes kids win.
Yeah.
He knows how to coach like motion basketball, which is Indiana lovely, but also convert from that style of basketball into the NBA, which Bray didn't do.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to start bringing in, and we didn't talk about this a whole lot, but like the fact that Notre Dame football team was so dominant against Navy was because the young guys were performing.
Yeah.
And
recruiting.
That's just because recruiting, the talent level is so much better.
And that's what we've talked about though. Like it feels like every single week we've gotten better.
Yeah.
And like we've had injuries, and like it's not because like the guy behind him is that much better than it's just the team's just getting better every single week.
Well, the guys that were ahead of them,
Yeah.
they knew what they were doing and they were good athletes.
Yeah.
The guys that are coming in are better athletes, and now they're learning what they should be
Yeah.
doing. And you'd like to have them get that experience through practice and kind of build
Oh, yeah.
into it. But we've had to force some of these younger guys into playing earlier.
Yeah.
But they've performed.
Yeah.
And we've got great athletes. I mean,
Yeah.
the recruiting for Marcus Freeman is just on display. Like right now,
Yeah.
any Brian Kelly era the last decade team would have not been able to sustain
These
the injuries
Yeah.
and maintain and gotten better. And
Yeah.
literally we're a better team. So now I can say it because Brian Kelly lost yesterday, and I don't want to hate on Brian Kelly, but every year Notre Dame would get its second loss, and someone would have to text me, "You can't spell Brian Kelly without two L's."
And it's not, yeah.
So to my LSU folks, sorry,
Yeah.
can't spell Brian Kelly without two L's.
But
so yeah,
back to basketball. Yeah,
but-
he's been killing on the recruiting here.
so and I think I don't want to talk about recruiting too much, but Shrewsbury is going to bring in a different type of recruiting to Notre Dame basketball. He's going to bring a different excitement. I mean, and they played better than a lot of people thought they would last year.
Yeah.
And Shrewsbury's changed up the offense a little bit.
Mhm.
I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I've heard some different things,
Mhm.
but I really expect Notre Dame to make noise this year unexpectedly. I'm not saying like Final Four run or anything, but
I think they'll make the tournament.
I think they're
and that's going to be a big surprise to some
I think
people.
they're going to be a tournament team, and I think if they get hot at the right time, they could be a Sweet 16 team this year, which
Yeah.
is a huge jump.
Yeah.
Huge jump. And then once he starts rolling with his recruiting,
Yeah.
Notre Dame could be like that, perennial
yeah,
Sweet 16. Like if
yeah.
we don't make Sweet 16, it's a bad season.
Ah, dang, yeah.
And under Bray, if we just made the tournament, it was a good season.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I can see
mean-
the Notre Dame logo on my big bracket.
There was years I was hoping we wouldn't make the tournament because I felt like we might be able to make the Final Four in the NIT.
Yeah.
Like maybe we'd be better if we made the NIT.
Yeah.
But no, I think Shrewsbury's doing some. So I'm excited to see it. I think he's doing some good things. I think he's just a great personality. I think he's a great coach. He seems to have just adopted and loved the university.
Yeah.
And it's a good fit. And I seems like him and Coach Ivy have a good relationship, and
Yeah.
I think she's a basketball person that knows basketball really well. I think Freeman and
Both of
Ivy and like
Shrews.
Shrewsbury all have this really good relationship, which I think is kind of cool to see. Your big three sports,
Oh, yeah.
but it sounds like maybe the lacrosse coach is getting in there, the baseball
Yeah.
coach is getting like it's not just the big three sports. The big
Yeah.
three sports have a good relationship,
Right.
which you might see that at the high school or small college level, but
Yeah.
you don't see the football team coach going and supporting the basketball coach at North Carolina or
Right.
Duke or vice versa. And Shrewsbury's bringing recruits into the basketball recruits for football
Yeah.
games, and Marcus Freeman showing up at basketball games,
Yeah.
both men and women's, and he's showing up at lacrosse games. He's showing
Yeah.
up at
Hockey game.
hockey game.
Yeah.
So I think the coaching community at Notre Dame is like really gelling, and we've got a lot of really good coaches. And this ought to be soccer,
seems like
women's soccer have been doing really well. Men's
Yeah.
soccer, I think, is about to break out and have a really good postseason. I think they are. So
Seems like an exciting sports time at Notre Dame right
Yeah.
now. Like, just like so much. It's all potential, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, but it's just like, man, it's looking good for the Irish in a lot of different sports right now.
yeah, the only thing you take to the bank is the fencing.
Yep.
Take fencing to the bank.
Yep.
They're gonna win it all.
Been there, done that, right?
It's what they do.
Yep.
If they don't win a national championship, it's a letdown.
Yep.
So yeah, it's kind of exciting. So I loved Mike Bray as a coach. I like
Yeah.
Mike Bray as a person.
Yeah.
But I just think Shrewsbury's just a step up.
Yeah.
And that's no slam on Bray. I
No.
hope Bray comes and hangs out of the game and takes
Yeah.
his shirt off and
Yeah.
runs around the court at halftime.
Yep.
And he probably will because I
Yeah.
think he likes Shrewsbury as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think I'm excited to go get to see the team in person and
Not to go far too.
and not have to travel very far. I know we've got 3 games locked in already this year for the basketball team.
Yep.
Um,
Plus this one, so 4 technically. I guess.
and now I'm thinking, okay, and we were talking about this a little earlier, and Christy brought it up, and it's like, okay, maybe we can't go to every game every year. That's just way too much.
Yeah.
But maybe we should try and make one away game for football every year. And it's like, maybe we should try and make a basketball game.
On the
away
road.
basketball game.
We're going Duke, North Carolina.
Yeah, I'd love to go see us. just as long as we're going to go beat Duke. I want to go when there's a good chance we're going to beat Duke.
Yeah.
Because I still hate Christian Leitner.
Yeah.
I haven't given up on that.
Yeah.
Probably never will.
Yeah.
So
but I mean, there's a lot of great venues in the ACC basketball, though.
There is. But even then, I think there's going to be some potential chances to see, maybe a Big Ten game. Go see Notre Dame play Purdue somewhere.
Yeah.
In the future, I think that's something that's worked out in the schedule. So, yeah, I think it's exciting to think about what we're going into from the basketball season. I mean, the women's team had a ton of injuries last year, and they're going to be freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get to see them. We haven't got anything scheduled to go see a women's game, but they've got the two best guards in all of women's basketball, and they got to figure out how to share the ball. And from what I'm hearing, they have.
Yeah.
And they could be just a dynamic duo that's just unstoppable.
And we're about to pull the trigger on the UConn game, but it was like a Wednesday or Thursday night.
Yeah.
Man, it was like, dang, I wish that was a Friday or Saturday night. Like, that'd make this so much easier, just a Wednesday, Thursday. Because, like, our men's games, we got all of them on the weekend.
All Saturdays.
Yeah, like, it's
one
worked out well.
Sunday, yeah.
Just like, do we really want to be back? Because UConn, Notre Dame, that's going to be a really good game. But it's like getting back at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and maybe an overtime game. Like,
and then you got to work the next day, and it's like,
yeah, so
so
we'll figure it out though. We'll make a women's game.
So we got to get to a women's game. We got a hockey game set up. So I'm excited about that. I think it sets up nicely. It's gonna be really interesting. I think great thing is next Saturday we just get to sit back, watch a little football.
That you do.
If you're not at the wedding.
That you do. It's your turn to take the weekend off.
I get to take the weekend off. So I get to sit back, watch a little bit of football.
Hope for some upsets.
You look hoping for the right upsets.
Yep, exactly.
And just seeing how it affects the Irish, because then we follow that up with the Tuesday after with the college football playoff rankings coming out. And that'll give us an idea of what they're thinking, and we can kind of predict what the seeding will look like.
Yeah.
And you have to remember that it's not the top 4 teams from the ranking. It's the conference champions that get the top 4 seeds.
Yeah.
And then whoever's not in the top 4 in the rankings, that's where you'll start the seeding at 5, 6, 7, 8. So Notre Dame could be number 1 in the college football rankings, but they do not win a conference championship. They fall to 5.
Yep.
So if, Ohio State is number 2 in the ranking and Oregon's 1, Oregon wins the Big Ten champion, Ohio State might fall to 4.
5.
But they'd be the 5th, 4th. They'd fall to 4 in the ranking, but they'd be the 5th seed. And then whoever was the 5th seed would be, or 5th ranking would become 6th or whatever. And so there's going to be a potential BYU or SMU or somebody that's going to be outside of the top 5.
Yep.
It's going to
get that bye,
get that 3rd or 4th rank.
And that's why you were saying earlier, though, for people that 6, 7 spot, because then you're getting one of those teams that's like, not necessarily they probably didn't deserve that. They got that by their conference champion, but it's like that team's really ranked like 9 or 10, right? Like we're the better team in this game. So that's why, because obviously if you're the 5 seed, then you
play the 12, and then you turn around and play the 1.
No, you play the 4,
or you
play the 4 and then the 1.
Yeah.
So on the other side, you'd avoid the number 1 seed. You'd get either the 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Or you get both of them. But So
you go to the 3 and then the 2.
Yep.
So and the 3 and the 4 could be pretenders.
Yeah.
Like they really could be.
Yeah. If you could slide it into that 7 spot, 7 spot, you get the 3rd best conference champion. So you basically avoid the Big Ten and the SEC. You have to assume at this point.
But
so you get either the ACC champ or the Big 12 champ. If you can pull off that 7 seed.
So, this is a crazy scenario, right? What if Ohio State beats Penn State this weekend, then has a letdown and loses to IU?
Yeah.
IU then jumps them and goes to the college football playoff. IU loses to Oregon.
Yep.
But maybe it's a close game. So IU ends up being in that 6, 7 seed position.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and have, like, is it possible Ohio State could be sitting out there like that 11 or 12 spot?
Yeah.
This 2-loss Ohio State team could be very dangerous.
Because I think that's what people are just like, 2-loss, you can't make the playoff with 2-loss. Like, you're out with 2-loss. Like, I see that with LSU, but I'm just like, some 2-loss teams came pretty close, like, finished 5 in the previous years. Like, 5 and 6. Like,
look at your schedule and who you played. I mean,
like, I don't want to, like, I just don't like, LSU's lost 2 games, they're out of it. Like, no, they're not out of it yet. Like, crazy stuff have happened in college football.
Well, look at Alabama. I mean,
they've
got 2 losses.
To
who?
Yeah, exactly.
To Georgia. Who's
no, they
really
beat
good.
They beat Georgia.
Vandy.
Vandy.
They lost to Vandy, which was a letdown.
Yeah,
and then they beat
They lost to
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
And it's like,
But they beat Georgia.
but they beat Georgia. It's
Yeah.
like, that's a team that, like, how? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Bring the Tide into South Bend in December, huh?
ooh, I'd like that. I'd like.
How much is that ticket?
I'd like to see.
How much is that ticket?
I'd like to see the cold Tide.
Yeah, how much is that ticket? Notre Dame Stadium, first ever playoff game on a home campus. Yeah, Alabama coming
to town.
down.
Yeah,
Give me the snow. Give me
mortgage the house. Buy
Yeah.
the ticket.
Oh,
That's
my
a once in a
goodness. You have
lifetime
to go.
opportunity.
yeah.
That is.
But you haven't talked about this. We've been talking about this off air. It's like, how are they gonna do like the tickets for this? Like, all right, since we got Shamrock Pass, are they gonna like, hey, you guys?
No.
You don't think they're gonna people that bought Shamrock passes and season tickets are gonna get first access? You don't
Season
think?
tickets will.
You don't think Shamrock because they know that's a Notre Dame fan though. We've been going back and forth on this.
I don't know.
Part of me,
I don't
maybe
know.
I'm optimistic, but part of me is like, you give the season ticket holders the first access.
And season ticket holders will be able to buy their season tickets plus extras.
Yep.
They'll have an allotment. So they'll look at the season ticket holders.
Yep.
And they'll say, okay, we've got 20,000 season ticket holders.
Yep.
So each season ticket holder has the opportunity to buy 4 additional seats.
Yeah.
And you take the 20,000 times 4 additional, and you've sold out the stadium.
Yeah.
Like, so for every season ticket you have, you're allowed to buy up to 4 more.
I
So-
doubt that it's 4 more. It's probably 4 more per person.
I think it's per seat is the way they do that typically. But regardless, Ohio State a couple years ago, they pretty much did not offer tickets to anybody, the public. Season ticket holders were
Yeah.
able to because they wanted to make sure it was all Notre Dame.
Right, but you can't go back and buy a Shamrock Pass at this point. That's what
No.
that's what makes me a little bit optimistic that they might say, okay, season ticket holders get their dibs, and then if you owned a Shamrock Pass for this entire season, you can buy a ticket.
But Notre Dame doesn't want to sell Shamrock passes. They just
Right,
want,
but they want-
they want Shamrock
Right,
Pass
but-
people to convert over to.
I
season
understand,
tickets.
but at the same time, that's a Notre Dame fan. It's a playoff game.
I know, but I think they won't do that only because
They'll want to say they have access to
if you want
playoff
to
games.
guarantee playoff games, buy a season ticket.
Yeah,
It's the reason the first year of the Shamrock Pass, they always gave you all the games. And then
Yeah.
they said, well, wait a minute, let's take out the big game, and you got to figure out if you want to go to the big game.
yeah.
So I think that they're probably going to do the right thing from a marketing standpoint, and they're going to say,
Yeah.
if you want to
Disappointment.
guarantee yourself a spot, you got to buy season tickets.
Or
And if they-
deposit for next year.
If they don't, then some people who buy season tickets, which are 4 times the cost, are going to start saying, I don't mind sitting in a different seat every week
Yeah.
for saving 75% of the cost. I mean,
yeah, but how many of those people do you think know about it?
well,
They
probably
don't
not.
they don't advertise it a whole lot.
No, but if they did and people found out about it, I mean,
Yeah.
it was a smart play because they're trying to get more people to come to games. It's kind
Yeah.
of like a mini game plan.
Yeah.
And they do a 3-game plan or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you bought a 3-game plan, they're not going to give you any access to playoff tickets.
Yeah.
They're not going to. So I just think they're going to look at the Shamrock Pass as a mini plan, and you're not going to get the special privileges that a season ticket holder gets.
Yeah.
I wished I was wrong, but
I just want to be optimistic.
yeah, that's the hope that kills you.
I know. Thanks, Ted Lasso. Matt, if you're listening this far in the episode, you'll be mad at that, but
She will be.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the playoffs are coming up, and it's pre-Christmas at this point if you're a college football fan.
yeah.
And Christmas is going to be all about the playoffs.
Yeah.
We get to I don't want to think about December right now, but
No.
we get to December.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be awesome.
It's March Madness in December.
Oh my gosh. Bubble watch, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be absolutely rocking. So
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Irish 365 podcast.
you can find us wherever you get your podcast.
We are on YouTube, X, Instagram, and Facebook.
Just search for Irish 365 Pod.
And you can always reach us at our email, irish365pod@gmail.com.
Good night.
And God bless.